and welcome to episode 53 of Book Writing Tips, quick tips for new and seasoned authors, and I am your host, Alba Arango. In today's episode, I want to go over a few different ways to build your author platform even if you don't have a book published yet. So sit back, relax, and let's talk about how to build your author platform. Alrighty then. Today's episode will be in two parts as always. In part one, I want to focus on different ways you can build your author platform online. And in part two, I want to talk about other ways to start building your author platform. So let's get down to it. Part one, what are some online ways to build your author platform? Well, first one is probably the most important one, and one I know I've said before on multiple occasions that you should think about, and that is having an author website. And the first thing you really got to do is think about what you want to have as your domain name. So for example, mine is albaarango.com. Nobody had that, so fantastic. I can use my name as my domain name. Now, if your name is already spoken for, then you can think about things like adding the word author to it or something like that. So it could be authoralbaarango.com. That would also be an acceptable professional website sounding name. But think about it. Some people actually use, say, their book. I think Rick Riordan has one that's camphalfblood.com. So think about different ways that if you know you have a series that you want to focus on, maybe have that as your domain name. Because what you can always do if you end up having another series is you can funnel all of them to go to one website, and that'll be the main website that you have. But you should have an author website. Now, if you don't have a book published yet, please don't be like, oh, but I don't have a book. I don't know what I put on my website. Well, the thing is, you want to have a place where if someone Googles you, there is a place they can go. They'll have some information about you. So you can have a bio. You can have whatever your work in progress is that you're working on. You could have some statistics about you, but it can really be just a static page that you don't have to keep adding to, but something that is there so that if someone Googles your name, it will come up as an author website, and people will see it and will be able to find out a little bit more about you. Now, in addition to that, my second suggestion is for you to have an author newsletter. And I know I did a whole podcast episode on having an author newsletter and things you should do with your author newsletter, but I really do believe an author newsletter, it is an important way for you to communicate your author news with your followers. And bonus, on your website, you can have the link for people to sign up for your newsletter. So that way, if people Google you or if people, try to find stuff about you and they find your website, there it is right there, the link that will take them to your author newsletter. And that email list that you are building is author gold. Because when you finally do publish that book, you're going to put out the newsletter and everyone on your mailing list is going to get it. They're going to get that email. They're going to open it. They're going to see that you've published a book, and there you go. There's a bunch of sales waiting for you right there. So make sure you start that author newsletter. Even if you've already published a book, it is never too late to start an author newsletter. So that is my second suggestion for you. And third and final suggestion for online is going to be a social media presence. Now, before you freak out on me and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to have an author social media presence. I am really bad at social media. It's okay. Don't panic. Don't stress out on me. You're okay. There's a couple different suggestions I have for you about social media. Now, you can, if you wanted to, actually create like an author page that is dedicated just to you being an author. And if you haven't published a book yet, you can just start off with, talking about your work in progress and keeping people updated with what you're doing on your author page. And if you use Facebook, you really could just add a page to your current Facebook page. This is what I do. I have my Facebook page that has my friends and family that is invite only. So I don't want a bunch of strangers like inviting me to follow them. I don't want that there. So I pretty much ignore any new like follows and requests that I get, because if I don't know you, I'm not going to follow you on Facebook. However, I do have an Alba Arango author page on Facebook that you can click on, and that would take you to my very open to the public author page. And I only post about author related things on that page. Now, that's what I do for Facebook. So you could do something like that, and you can do that on whatever social media you are comfortable using. But I will tell you what I do on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky is I have only one page. So one Instagram, one Threads, one Blue Sky. And on those social medias, I talk about not just my author stuff, but other things as well. You will see a lot of posts about my dog Pumpkin on there, and you'll see stuff about my gardening. It is basically a way for people to get to know me as a person. Writing is one aspect of me, but I also garden. I also hike. I also love to travel. So I have a lot of different things, and that is one page for everything. So if you have already got an Instagram page and now you're thinking, I want to build my author platform, you have two options. You could do a completely separate Instagram page that is dedicated just to being an author, or you could simply start posting about being an author intertwined in whatever else you post about on Instagram. So that way you're not making a whole nother page that you have to worry about, that you have to remember to upload to. You have one page that you're just adding, that you already have, and now you're just adding more things to it about yourself, about your writing. So those are two different ways you can deal with social media. And if social media really, really just stresses you out, please don't stress. Like, just take a break, pick one social media and just do that. And try to just be consistent and post on that as an author. And that will at least give you a foot in the door and help you start building an online presence for social media as an author. Now, before I get to other ways you can do it, it's time for your crazy law / writing prompt. And if you are new to the podcast, every week I give you a crazy law. And this is a law that once upon a time was a real law in history. And your challenge, should you choose to accept it, is to write a short story based on that law. And it's just kind of a way to flex your writing muscles and, take you away from your work in progress just for a spell to do something kind of creative and fun. Okay, so here we go. This week's crazy law. In Indianapolis, Indiana, a mustached citizen may not kiss anyone. Oh my goodness, why would they have to make that a law? What happened that they felt they had to make that a law? Anyways, there you go. There's your challenge. Have fun with that one, because I'm sure you guys are already coming up with some crazy ideas for that. But let's move on. Part 2, other ways to start building your author platform, even if you've never published a book. So here is my first suggestion for that, and that is to try to get some publication credits. Even though you're already working on a book, short stories are a great way to get some pub credits. Now, different ways you can do that is that you can enter competitions, and I think I've mentioned this in other podcasts, that my very first publication credit was in my local newspaper here, the Las Vegas Review-Journal. They had a competition for Halloween where they just had people submit short stories, and they chose I think the top 10 and published them in the newspaper. And I was fortunate enough to actually be one of those top 10. So my very first story published ever was in the Las Vegas Review-Journal with my fabulous short story called Vampires in Vegas. So that is a great way. If you have local newspapers and they have a competition, that is a great place to actually get a publication credit. But there's all kinds of competitions you can find online. I did an entire podcast episode giving you guys like different places that have competitions, a lot of them are quarterly, so you could enter it like every 3 or 4 months and actually possibly win one of those and get a publication credit that way. But there are also anthologies. A lot of different publications, even like our local writers group publishes an anthology. We actually have a couple different writers groups here in Las Vegas that publish anthologies. So if you're a member of those groups, you could actually submit a short story and possibly get published in an anthology. You could look into magazines. So whatever your genre is that you like to write in, look for magazines that have, quarterly publications, and you might try entering a short story into that. So these are different ways you can get publication credits that would start establishing you as an author before you even get your book published. And FYI, those look great if you are going to be querying agents later for publishing your book. Now, other things. You could join professional organizations, so like the Romance Writers Association or the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators or the Science Fiction Writers Association. These are all professional organizations that if you are a part of them, you can use them in your query letters that you are in these organizations. And of course, there's lots of advantages to being part of these organizations because they have a plethora of material for up-and-coming writers and competitions, and they have a lot of that on their website. So that is a great place to find information about where you can publish short stories and even information for where you can actually publish your book. All right, another one, podcast and blog interviews. Now, even if you don't have a book published, you can still get on podcasts and blogs as a reviewer, as someone who has knowledge in your field if you are writing nonfiction. So there is a great place to actually get some credit that you can use that you can then talk about on your website. You can talk about in your newsletter. I mean, these are all things, they all kind of like layer on top of each other. So that's a great way to build your author platform. And one last suggestion would be to network with other authors. And you can do that at writers' conferences. You can do that at workshops. You also get to mingle with agents and publishers at these things. And that is a great way to kind of get your name at least out there and to network with other authors. All of these are ways that you can start building an author platform before you even get your book published. And of course, if you've already got your book published, these are all great ways to continue your author platform and add to it and enlarge it and make it an even broader platform. All right, my sweeties, I am done for this week. If you like this episode, please, please, please don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe or follow. And I drop a new episode every Wednesday. So until next week, be safe, and I will see you all later.